A very good morning to the students of class 12 science. In the last class, we have learned about antigens and antibody. We have learned the structure of antibody and the different types of antibodies. In today's class, we'll discuss about vaccination and immunization. So what is vaccination and immunization? So before that, all of us have gone through the process of vaccination in order to develop immunity against a particular disease. So what do you mean by vaccination? Clear? So vaccination is the process, we can say that is the process where we will introduce a vaccine in the body of an individual in order to develop the immunity against a particular disease. Clear? So during vaccination, we are introducing a vaccine in the body of an individual so that it will help in the formation of immunity or to develop immunity against a particular disease or against a particular pathogen. Clear? So what does the vaccine contains? Because we are saying that we are introducing vaccine in the body of an individual organism to develop immunity. So what does the vaccine contains? The vaccine is actually a suspension of killed or attenuated pathogenic microorganism. That means the vaccine that we are administering during vaccination, it contains a killed pathogen, as microorganisms, or the strength of that microorganisms will be very weak, which is called attenuated. So we are using the killed pathogenic microorganisms or the attenuated or the weak microorganisms, which will able to trigger the immune response in the body but will not be able to show the symptoms of a disease, but it will help in the development of immunity. Clear? So during vaccinations, we are introducing a vaccine in the body of an individual organism in order to develop immunity, and the vaccine contains the killed or attenuated pathogenic microorganisms. Now, after vaccination, our body will develop immunity against a particular pathogen or a particular disease. So therefore, the process of developing immunity against a particular disease or against a particular pathogen is known as immunization. So vaccination will lead to immunizations where the body will develop immunity against a particular disease. The principle of vaccination and immunization is solely dependent on the formation of memory cells. This is very important. Clear? The principle of vaccination and immunization is dependent on the formation of memory cells. We know that our body will develop antibodies against a particular antigen or a pathogen, because we have got B lymphocytes, we have got T lymphocytes, which will provide body immunity. B lymphocytes will help in the formation of antibody against a particular antigen or a pathogen. So during vaccination, the vaccines which we are introducing in our body will only not lead to the formation of antibody, but at the same time it will lead to the formation of memory cells. Now what is the significance of memory cells? For example, let's consider that Mr. T has been administered with a polio vaccine. That means we are introducing the polio virus that causes polio. Clear? So now we have administered the polio vaccine in the Mr. T body. Now Mr. T body will respond to that particular vaccine by the formation of antibody, because Mr. T has got B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes. So B lymphocytes will help in the formation of antibody, and at the same time it will lead to the formation of memory cells. Now again, if Mr. T has been infected by the same pathogen, that is by the polio pathogen, then at that time the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes will recognize the pathogen. Clear? The B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes of Mr. T body will recognize the pathogen that it is entering the body for the second time, and it will rapidly lead to the formation of B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, and the antibody. So memory cells is very important during vaccination, because it will recognize the pathogen whether it is entering the body for the first time or for the second time. So during vaccinations, memory cell formation is very important, which will recognize the pathogen if it enters the body for the second time, and it will rapidly lead to the formation of antibody. So from your textbook, kindly go through the page number 463. Clear? Now, immunization, we mentioned that provides immunity without infection through the introduction of weakened or killed antigenic pathogen or a toxoid into a healthy person. So, immunization means simply the process of development of immunity after vaccination. And immunity or immunization is developed by the use of killed pathogenic organisms or the attenuated microorganisms, or even the toxoid means the poisons, clear, which are mainly produced by the microorganisms in the body. So I hope it is clear for you what is vaccination, what is vaccine, and what is immunization. Now, the vaccination which induces generation of antibody by the body's immune system. That means during vaccinations, right, I am saying you that again and again that we are introducing the killed pathogen or the attenuated pathogen. So during vaccinations, when our own body will develop the antibody, very carefully, when our own body will develop the antibodies, then it is called active immunization, where our body is simply developing the antibody against the pathogen. But if preformed antibodies or ready-made antibodies are injected into the body of an individual, listen very carefully, if the preformed antibody or antitoxins or ready-made antibody or antitoxins are introduced into the body of an individual, then it is called passive immunization. So in active immunization, our own body is developing the antibody against the pathogen. But if the ready-made antibody, those antibodies which are produced in other organisms, if those preformed antibodies or toxoids or antitoxins are being introduced into our body, then that is called passive immunization. For example, in case of tetanus, a snake bite, we used to use the ready-made antibody or the preformed antibody, because if in case of snake bite, if we wait for the body immune system to develop the antibody, it will be very late, and by that time that individuals will be dead. So in case of these particular accidental conditions, we are supposed to use the ready-made antibody. So it's mainly example of passive immunization. But passive immunization provides quick immune response. Why? In this case, we are taking the ready-made antibodies. We are not waiting for our own body system, immune system, to produce the antibody. So we are already taking in the antibodies which are produced in other organisms, like in this horse, mainly because these antitoxins or the antibodies in case of snake bite are being produced in case of horse serum. So it's mainly example of passive immunization. So hope it is clear for you the difference between active immunization and the passive immunization. Next one, what do you mean by allergies and the allergens? Because all of us we should suffer from allergy, right? So what is allergy and what is allergens? So allergy is simply means an exaggerated or hypersensitive reaction of the immune system to certain antigens. That means sometimes our body used to show hypersensitivity reactions, or those reactions which will gradually increase by time, right, due to the presence of certain antigens which are called allergens, because allergens are those substances which causes allergy. So in response to the allergens, our body immune system will develop an hypersensitivity reactions or exaggerated reactions. So these particular reactions of the immune system to a particular allergen is called allergy. Afterwards we'll talk about the symptoms of allergy. Yeah, so allergy is mainly an exaggerated or hypersensitivity reactions of the body immune system to a particular allergen. And what is an allergen? The substance to which the person develops allergic reactions, or we can say that allergen is the agent that causes allergy. And what are the example of allergens? Dust, mites, spores, that is spores which are present in few of the plants. You can say pollen grains in flowers, hairs, feathers, fruit items, and drugs. So these mainly act as an allergens, to which the person will develop allergic reactions. Now, during these allergic reactions, our body immune system will produce the antibody IgE, and at the same time it will also produce histamine, Histamine. So during allergic reactions, our body will respond to those allergens by producing the antibody IgE. Do you remember this antibody IgE? And also it produces histamine, which will produce the hypersensitive reactions. Now, what are the symptoms of allergy? Sneezing, itching, skin rashes, inflammation of mucous membrane, watery eyes, running nose, there will be difficulty in breathing. So these are the symptoms of allergy: sneezing, itching, rashes in the skin, inflammation of mucous membrane, running nose, watery eyes, and difficulty in breathing. These are the symptoms of allergy. Now, during this time, what happens is that there will be release of histamine, serotonin from the mast cells, which are discussed already, and there will be the production of the symptoms of allergy. That means our body will produce histamine, serotonin, and it will produce the symptoms of the allergy or the disease. But the symptoms of allergy can be reduced by the use of certain drugs. And what are the name of those drugs? Those drugs which can be used are antihistamine, because histamines will be produced which show the symptom of the disease. So drugs like histamine can be given, antihistamine, adrenaline, and steroids can be given in order to reduce the symptoms of allergic reaction. Clear? So go through what is allergy, what do you mean by allergens, and what are the symptoms and the treatment of allergy. Clear? Next one, autoimmunity. Now, what do you mean by autoimmunity? We know that during immunity, our body immune system will work against the foreign body or the invading microorganism. Clear? So, what do you mean by autoimmunity? This is very important. Now, in autoimmunity, our body immune system will start attacking our own body cells. This is very important, because during immunity, when we are discussing immunity, we are saying that our body immunity will work against the foreign pathogenic microorganisms, right, or the foreign invaders that will enter the body from the external sources which are not present in our body. But during autoimmunity, our own body immune system will work against our own body cells. Clear? That is called autoimmunity. So the immune system of the body starts attacking the body own cells. It cannot distinguish which one is foreign cell and which one is own body cell. So it will start destroying the own body cells and the foreign cells. And such type of disorder is known as autoimmunity. Sorry. Autoimmune disease depends on the type of cell recognized by the self-antigens, or recognized as self-antigen. That means we have got different types of autoimmunity, or we have got different diseases under autoimmunity depending on the type of cells which are recognized as self-antigen. So if the self-antigen are RBC, so if the immune system will recognize the RBC as the foreign cells, then it will start destroying its own RBC. And when the body immune system will work or start destroying the body own RBC, then it will lead to a condition or a disease known as chronic anemia. If the RBC, if our own RBC will be recognized as the self-antigen. If the body immunity will recognize the muscle cells as the self-antigen, then it will lead to the disorder known as myasthenia gravis. Clear? If the self-antigen is recognized as the liver cell, then it will lead to chronic hepatitis. So that means over here you can see over here that depending on the type of cells being recognized as the self-antigen, we have got different types of autoimmune diseases. So we have got chronic anemia when the body own RBC will be recognized as the foreign cells or the self antigens. If the muscle cells will recognize as self antigen, it will lead to myasthenia gravis. And if the body immunity will recognize the liver cell as the foreign cells or the self antigen, it will lead to chronic hepatitis. So in autoimmunity, our own body immunity will work against the body own cells. Now, in Hashimoto's disease, alright, in Hashimoto's disease, the immune response develop against the person's own thyroid gland. So in Hashimoto's disease, the body immune system will work against the own thyroid gland, resulting in the destruction of own thyroid gland and appearance of myxedema. So in Hashimoto's disease, the immune system will work against the body own thyroid gland. Clear? So other autoimmune disease are insulin dependent diabetes. You know what diabetes? Then we have got rheumatoid arthritis, that means inflammation of the joints. And remember, rheumatoid arthritis means inflammation of the joints. Then we have got ulcerative colitis, means inflammation of the digestive tract. And Addison's disease, which mainly a disorder or a disease in which the adrenal gland will not produce the enough hormone. In Addison's disease, the adrenal gland will not produce the enough hormone. So these are the examples of autoimmune disease. Clear? Now next one, we'll talk about the immune system in the body. And for this one, kindly go through the page number for the autoimmune disease, page number 461. Clear? For the immune system in the body, go through the page number 461, because we are going according to the syllabus. Clear? So immune system in the body is there in the page number 461, and from your textbook, kindly go through the figure number 8.18. Alright, figure number 8.18, human lymphatic system is there. Okay, so kindly go through that figure. So what do you mean by human immune system in the body? What is it composed of, and what is the function of this system in the body? Clear? So first one, the human immune system consists of lymphoid organs. We'll basically discuss about lymphoid organs. Then we have got tissue cells and the soluble molecules like antibody. So this human immune system is mainly composed of lymphoid organs, tissue cells and antibody. Clear? Now function of the system is to recognize the foreign molecule or the pathogen, respond to those foreign molecules and keeping the memory of them. That means helping in the formation of memory cells. So the function of the human immune system is recognition of the foreign cells, to respond to that foreign cells and keeping the memory of that foreign cells. That is the function of immune system. So it plays important role in allergic reactions, autoimmune disease, which are discussed right now, and we have got in organ transplantation, where we have to replace the malfunctioning organ by a functional organ. That is called organ transplantation. Here, part of kidney transplantation, right, where the non-functional kidney will be replaced by the functional one. So in all those conditions, the immune system in the body come into action. So but under this immune system, we will mainly talk about the lymphoid organs. Okay. So what do you mean by lymphoid organs? So lymphoid organs are those organs where there will be origin, maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes. Mainly in lymphoid organs, there will be formation of lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes. There will be maturation of lymphocytes and proliferation. That means multiplication of lymphocytes. So we have got two types of lymphoid organ: primary lymphoid organ and the secondary lymphoid organ. Under the primary lymphoid organ, we have got bone marrow and thymus, and under secondary lymphoid organs, we have got spleen, lymph nodes, tonsil and MALT. MALT means mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. So these are the different types of lymphoid organ: primary, secondary. On the primary, we have got bone marrow, thymus. On the secondary, we have got spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils and MALT, mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Now we'll just see the location of this particular lymphoid organs. Clear? So when you are by the chest region, you can see the presence of thymus, then bone marrow, we can see over in the bones. We have got tonsils over here, you can see over here tonsils. So this thymus and bone marrow, these are the primary lymph organs, and tonsils. Lymph nodes are present throughout the body. You can see over here. Okay, these are the lymph nodes which you can see over here. Lymph nodes are there. Then we have got spleen. Okay, we have got Peyer's patches in the small intestine. Okay, so these are the examples, or these are the different types of secondary lymphoid organs. So from your textbook, I have told you that kindly go to the figure number 8.18, human lymphatic system. You will see the positions of the primary lymphoid organ and the secondary lymphoid organ. Now we will discuss about the primary lymphoid organ and the secondary lymphoid organs and their functions. Clear? So first one, primary lymphoid organs. So mainly in primary lymphoid organs, immature lymphocytes. I hope you will understand what does the word immature means. So immature lymphocytes will differentiate into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. That means in primary lymphoid organs, lymphocytes which are immature, they will differentiate, they will develop, they will mature to respond to the antigens. They will mature to work against the antigen. They become antigen sensitive. Okay, so mainly in primary lymphoid organs, the immature lymphocytes, they will differentiate to the antigen sensitive lymphocytes. So after maturation, lymphocytes migrate to the secondary lymphoid organ. Clear? So we can say that in the primary lymphoid organ, there is formation of immature lymphocytes, and maturation also occur in the primary lymphocytes or lymphoid organs, but after the maturation they will move into the secondary lymphoid organ. So what are the primary lymphoid organ? It's mainly the bone marrow and the thymus. So in the bone marrow, you can see over here, lymphocytes are formed. Okay, so mainly lymphoid organs where all the types of blood cells including lymphocytes are formed. So mainly in the bone marrow, maturation of lymphocytes occur. Which lymphocytes? B lymphocytes. Kindly move this thing. Okay, mainly in the bone marrow, maturation of B lymphocytes takes place, because they are saying that in the primary lymphoid organ, formation of lymphocytes occur. They will mature, and after maturation they will move to secondary lymphoid organ. So mainly in the bone marrow, there will be maturation of B lymphocytes, and in thymus there will be maturation of T lymphocytes. So B lymphocytes, B for bone marrow, you can remember by this way also. B lymphocytes, so maturation occurs in bone marrow. T lymphocytes, the development and maturation occurs in thymus. So thymus is a lobed organ. Okay, it's mainly a lobed organ. You can see over here. We have lobe means having two lobes, and it's situated near the heart, beneath the breastbone. So it is the site for the development and the maturation of T lymphocytes. Clear? So B lymphocytes maturation occurs in bone marrow, and T lymphocytes maturation occurs in thymus. Now we'll move into the secondary lymphoid organ. Example are spleen, lymph nodes, and we have got MALT also, and tonsils. Okay, so B lymphocytes for secondary lymphoid organs are the organs where the lymphocytes interact with the antigen. Clear? So maturations will occur in case of primary lymphoid organ, but they will differentiate to antigen sensitive, or they will interact with the antigen when they will migrate to secondary lymphoid organs, where they will proliferate also, that is multiply to form the clone. That means they will form the memory cells also. So we'll talk about the spleen, the first secondary lymphoid organ. It contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. That means phagocyte means which will engulf the foreign particles. Clear? So function, it traps the blood-borne microbes, so acts as filter of the blood. That means it will trap, it will ingest, it will phagocyte those microbes which are present in the blood, and will act as the filter of the blood. Means filter of the blood means it will remove those microbes which are present in the blood. It also acts as the reservoir of RBC. Clearly, that's why it's also known as the graveyard of RBC. Why? If the RBC will be dead, or if they are destroyed, then those dead RBC will be engulfed by the spleen. Clear? So it's also called the graveyard of RBC. Then lymph node, second one, small solid structure which are present along the body, we can say along the point called lymphatic systems. So functions, it also acts as filter by trapping the microbe that have entered the lymph. So in class 10 you have learnt about blood and lymph. Clear? So if any microbes has entered the lymph, then these lymph nodes will act as a filter by removing those microbes present in the lymph. Now, the lymphocytes present in the lymph nodes are activated by the trapped antigens and produce an immune response. So, those lymphocytes which are present in the lymph nodes will be activated when they will trap the antigen. Alright, when the antigen enter the lymph nodes, then they will trap those antigen and they will trigger the immune response in the body of an individual organism. Clear? Next one, tonsils, which also act as a filter to protect the body from bacteria and assist in the formation of white blood corpuscle, that is WBC. So tonsils will also act as a filter. It will protect the body from bacteria, alright, and will help in the formation of WBC. MALT means mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. It is located within the lining of mucosal lining, within the mucosal lining of the major tracts. Mucosal lining means it is present in the lining of respiratory tract, digestive tract and the urogenital tract. So it accounts for more than 50% of the lymphoid tissue in the human body. Okay, so today we have discussed about vaccination and immunization. We have learned about what is vaccination, we have learned about what is vaccine and what is immunization, what is the importance, of memory cells. Clear? Then we have learned about the allergies and allergens. What are allergens? What are the examples of allergens? We have learned that. We have learned the symptoms of allergens and how those allergens can be treated. We have learned that thing. Then we have learned into the body immune systems, where we have learned about the primary lymphoid organ and the secondary lymphoid organ. So kindly go through it, go through the textbook. Clear? So in the next class, we'll begin with the next topic. Thank you.